Okay, so obviously the budget came out and everyone was always like, oh, this is awful, this is going to cost me X amount, all of this. Realistically, it was never going to be good. I don't think anyone was under that impression. But I don't know, I think, how much is it really going to cost most people? I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to help you in the long run, which is what I think a lot of people are hoping for. But I don't think it's awful. How much is it going to cost you? That's the main question here. For most people, probably not much, if anything. In the longer term, sure, but, you know, unless there's a massive cut, everything's always getting more expensive. The main thing that people are going on about, that people don't understand, is they've fixed the income tax level. Obviously, with the minimum wage set to increase by 50 pence, you know, more people are going to be earning more money, and therefore that's going to push them into the higher tax brackets. Like here, as you can see, basic rate is 12,571 to 50,000. No one on minimum wage is going to be hitting 50,000 unless you're doing ridiculous hours. Yeah, the personal allowance amount, people are obviously going to be now dragged into that. Their wages are going up, therefore they have to do less hours to hit it. So if they're doing the same amount of hours as before, more of their income is going to be in this personal allowance bag. People have different names for it, you know, I don't really know what you want to refer to it as. But this is the main thing. It's like a silent tax or a silent increase in the amount of tax that you're going to pay that just most people aren't going to even notice. That's the big one that I think people are most cautious of. Now, if you drive an electric vehicle, obviously there's going to be a charge on that, which I think is pretty fair. I mean, I get the point. They said they incentivize people into, you know, tax cuts to pay them, and now they're realizing that if everyone switches over to electric vehicles, they're not going to raise any tax money from it. 3p a mile for full electric cars. Again, most people aren't even on electric cars unless you're pretty well off, you know, to afford the newer car. But what may probably help a lot of people, I think more people are going to benefit from this. More people are going to be better off in the budget than worse off, and that's simply because the minimum wage is going up. Of course, inflation is probably gonna, there's no way that inflation isn't going to go through the roof at some point sometime soon. I don't think anyone is of the opinion that it's going to stay low. It might do. The main line is that it's going up from 1221 to 1271 in April. I mean, it's going to push more people into paying more taxes, so it's kind of going to be recouped. This is just going to hurt businesses, which I think is the main thing, especially in a time when there isn't that much money going around the economy. It's going to be the business owners who are probably struggling. And if you're paying people on minimum wage, of course, like your Tesco's and your Morrisons and whoever are going to be fine. But if it's like your local pub, you know, your high street businesses are probably going to be pretty screwed, considering the fact that people are going to have less money and you've got to pay your staff more. You can see here how much it's just gone up. Made a few big jumps recently. 10.42 to 11.44 is a pound jump, and then again it's made another 80p jump. I mean, since COVID, it's gone up £4 pretty much. That's crazy. There is now the big argument that people are talking about is the homeowner tax. And I mean, the question here is, of course, property is worth more than, I think it's, if your property is worth more than £2 million, you will receive a £2,500 surcharge in council tax. The main thing here is that council tax is currently based on how much your house was worth in 1991. Right, they've not redone it for 34 years. They probably should do, but they don't have the money to. Cool, whatever. But yeah, the fact they're putting a mansion tax, as they're calling it, raises about £400 million. The thing is, it doesn't really raise that much money. It pisses a lot of people off, and not many people are actually going to pay for it. Less than 1% of properties in the country are going to end up paying it, so it's pretty irrelevant for most people. I don't know why they're getting so worried about it. I mean, Homes in the Top council about concentrating in London. Yeah, it's mainly in like London and this area. I mean, this obviously is all of the houses that were, you know, that it mentioned here from the were banned FG and H in 1991 might not necessarily be worth the £2 million now. The fact they've said less than 1%, it's probably going to be irrelevant. So chances are you're not going to have to pay anything. And again, it's pretty shitty if you're like a pensioner who bought their house years ago and you've got to move out. But that's the way of the world. Again, energy bills are falling. That's probably going to impact more people than not. So again, taxing the rich and kind of distributing it a little bit, not really. Most people are going to be better off in theory, but reality it won't be. Job losses, inflation, it's just going to cut out everything. So it's going to, they call it like a stabilising budget. How accurate that is, I don't really know. Train fares won't go up. They shouldn't. They should be cut in half. It's ridiculous. The amount of money it costs you to get into London is astronomical, and they're slow and useless. So nobody really cares about this. Cash ISAs. Now this is a really, really shitty one. The amount of people that are saying that can be saved into a cash ISA each year will be reduced from 20,000 to 12,000 a year for people under 65. Now, most people my age should be putting it into a stocks and shares ISA anyway. Not financial advice, but realistically, you've got enough time that you can make it work. There's no reason for you to not. Yeah, the fact that it's only the cash ISA that's been restricted. The idea is that it will try and get people to I don't really know. Are they trying to get people to put it into stocks and shares? They're trying to get people to invest more, because obviously they mentioned possibly forcing people to invest in UK stock companies, which is the most stupid idea ever. That's how they talk about the air bubble. You drive a bubble by forcing people to only invest in one asset, even if it's not worth that amount. Realistically, if people do switch from a cash ISA to a stocks and shares, they're not going to invest in the UK economy anyway. They're going to go abroad. And this is not going to do absolutely anything at all. So this is completely useless. It just pisses people off, and there is absolutely no reason into it whatsoever. The tax on top savers will go up. From April 2027, there will be a 2 percentage point increase in the basic and high additional rates of savings income tax. Again, most people do not save enough. It's not going to, it's lots and lots of little things that aren't really going to affect. The big one that people don't like, funnily enough, is that they're removing the 2-child cap on universal credit. I mean, the thing is, this is such a big one because realistically, they're talking about they're removing it to get kids out of poverty, which is, something really, really important to do. This isn't the way to do it. Like, you don't get kids out of poverty by, got to be more efficient growth ways rather than just cutting the 2-child cap. Lots and lots of people are pissed off. It's not very popular within people, because people are like, you have kids if you can afford to have them. You shouldn't get a free handout from the government to have. But you know what? Fair enough. Cap has nothing to do with child benefit. Yeah, there is nothing to do with it. Directed at universal credit. More than 100 charities have written to Charles to call for the 2-child limit, because obviously kids are in poverty. If you're a child, you have no control over where you're born. You have no control over it. On an individual basis, great. On a wider basis for the economy, pretty shit. Got to find a way to figure out to get kids out of poverty, but without having to do it through government handouts. There's got to be growth methods. Got to find a long-term solution. This will work, right? Get me wrong, this will work if they can find a long-term solution to fixing the problem. Are they going to? Probably not. Went through the council tax statute. Realistically, is there much in there? Not really. I mean, it was all leaked before, which is pretty stupid anyway. Everyone was going on about it for ages, and it's kind of petered out into nothing. And again, the other one here, the document plan is to replace the lifetime ISA, which is, like the best savings thing that they have for getting people on the housing ladder that they're complaining about. The lifetime ISA is that if you want to do that, that is the way that you go forward. Landlords facing a higher tax burden. They're trying to get people to sell up, which just doesn't work. The only way you can get people to sell up is just make it really, really difficult for them to make profits. And I mean, this is just going to get passed on to tenants. So again, it's going to cost renters. Landlords probably won't see any of that. But again, yeah, here, the thing is, majority of people will see an increase in their benefit and their state pension, which is what you would expect from a Labour government, right? So most people are, because more people realistically are claiming benefit and state pension and 2-child cap and are on minimum wage than have a £2 million house and drive an electric car. Most people are going to be better off. That's a difficult thing that I don't think people are realising here. In theory, like, this is always, on paper, in theory. Is this going to work? We have no growth whatsoever. It's an interesting graph, and it looks at the UK versus Poland GDP per capita. And obviously, if you're in the UK, you know that there was quite a lot of Polish people that would come across to work in years gone by. Poland's current growth rate will surpass the UK's current growth rate. Where have they got it here? In about 2034. So does that mean that UK citizens are going to move over to Poland for a better quality of life? Obviously, this is done back in 2022. It predicts that the Labour economy by 1.5% higher than its previous estimate of 1%. So a little bit up, but again, that's not high at all. They've got to find a way to get money turned. Compared to the rest of the G7, I think we're still top, to be honest with you. So we complain? Probably not. The main issues that add is just the low levels of growth. What is quite interesting, however, that I haven't really noticed or has gone quite unnoticed, is they are finally introducing the sugar tax on milkshakes. It's a pretty irrelevant thing that's in there, but it's probably in line with everything else. And that's kind of it. Obviously, we all saw how it leaked beforehand. Most people, again, like I said, in theory, on paper, better. In reality, I think we're just going to have to wait and see. I just think growth is going to be the major problem in this country, rather than what the government can do. I mean, they've kind of limited people to what they can get, really, in the first place. I don't know, man. I just don't see a way where we can get out of this without increasing growth. And there was nothing in this budget to highlight there will be any movement towards growing industries or further funding. So yeah, I think for the time being it's going to be pretty stagnant. Maybe some relief for people who are more struggling, but it's still not going to be enough realistically. Who knows?